Hello, everybody. Thank you for your support of Indie Agency News. Let's meet an indie agency, and we're heading down to the Bay Area, the Yay area. Hello, Eric and Allison from Apollo Partners. Welcome on board.
Thank you for having us. It's good to be here.
Happy to be here.
So Bay Area, a rich history of independent agencies. You got your Duncan Shannons. You got your, Camping King used to be. You got your Jamie Barrett, been down there for a minute. Gosh, I can go through this whole thing. It's a funky little community down there, and I can imagine that it's also a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm certainly a product of the indie agency epicenter down here in San Francisco, and started my career at Swirl. If you know.
Oh, geez. Okay. Yeah.
Long time, many moons ago. But I think that that principle that I came into the world from has definitely held true throughout my career, and is, a big part of how we're starting Apollo.
Right.
Yeah, there's still a lot of great ones. Work closely with Jamie and Matt Hoffer at Barrett Hoffer now.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So yeah, there's a bunch of good ones.
I know. I just have to remember it's Barrett Hoffer and it's not Barrett SF. I have to keep reminding.
So we're headquartered here, but Allison's actually in the New York City area.
Okay.
We also have a growing office in Austin, Texas. So we're kind of a modern distributed force.
Sure. Yeah. Like everybody.
Yep. Yeah.
Like everybody. Oh, go ahead, Allison.
I would say, unlike Eric, though, I came up through the big holding companies in New York City. So different experience. And it's been such a dream to be at an indie agency now.
That's great. Yeah. And I spent some time in the holding company agency world at the Martin Agency. The most independent feeling holding company agency, one of them out there. Yeah. I can tell you, it was a great experience. But yeah, Indie's the thing. Indie's the thing. Absolutely. When was the agency started?
We were started just before COVID, so we're about 3.5 years old. Yeah, great timing. At first, we were like, "Oh no, is this going to be a disaster?" But I think, as we all know now, it ended up being kind of an advantage, and we're kind of built for this era, which allows us to operate much more fluidly with all the change going on.
Right. Makes a lot of sense. Now let's talk about this. Now, every agency has a list of stuff that they're good at. And I want to start with this question first. What would you say that your agency is best known for?
We are a full service media agency through and through. So I think that one thing that we're best known for is the breadth and speed at which we approach media. But we are all things paid media, and from the very beginning of front end communication strategy all the way through reporting, analytics, and everything that's in between that. So a true understanding of the landscape of paid media and being able to do it with excellence is what I think our clients would say about us.
Right.
And that going from brand to performance to traditional to digital to sports partnerships to product development. So there's not a lot of the work that we've done in our first 3.5 years, I think, is testament to how broad we can go, and the experience has afforded us over our careers to be able to offer that. So we've run media for some of the biggest and best brands, but also really small brands along the way, and just have created a really accurate picture of everything that's out there. And so we think that's a unique trait, that there's not really many media consultancies and agencies that have that level of experience and are bringing that to the market.
Right. And Allison, I want to ask you this, because media agencies traditionally, well, not traditionally, but in the past, have attempted to shoehorn creative into it. So creative departments at media agencies can be hit or miss, and that may be charitable, right? But it sounds like the way that you're approaching it, there are the pieces of creativity that lead to strong results. And so I'm thinking more lowercase c than anything else, because I think some of these media agencies that attempted to build creative practices, capital C, your results may vary.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think, what we really try to focus on is how do we bring creativity through every step of the media lens. That's our expertise, and that's where we really, really shine in the work that we do. So it's about bringing creativity to the strategy of the media plan and the approach. But I would also say we work really well with different creative agencies, and that's a huge other area of our expertise, and kind of one of our founding principles as well, is that, we partner really well with big C creative agencies and also performance creative agencies and whatnot as well.
Right. No, that makes a lot of sense. Again, going back to taking this idea of what you're best known for, one step further, what would you say the agency's top three core strengths are?
Our media first and foremost. So like a true understanding.
That part I get. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's a focus on results and performance, and being able to toe the line between innovation and big ideas, but making sure that they work. Moving really quickly. Sometimes the industry has, based on compensation models or the way that services are and scope of works are built, the industry's been driven to move slow. We want to move really quickly and innovate fast, and have models that reward that. And then I think just being the partner that will help make a client successful is also what we're focused for. So we're constantly pivoting, being flexible, trying to figure out new ways of doing things, and ultimately trying to surprise and delight our clients and help them hit their goals.
Right. Allison, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think what we hear time and time again from our clients is that, we talk the talk, but we really walk the walk. We really deliver on the things that we say we deliver on, and the work really speaks for itself.
And in this complex world, sounding like the beginning of an ad for a B2B company there, media has it seems to morph every day. So let me ask you this before I get into like the meat of other questions related to independence. I'm curious your point of view on the mediums and media that is most undervalued. That's a tricky one, right? Because you could go back to the OGs. And again, I spent 15 years in radio, which explains why I sound like this. But also, I'm curious about what is the most underutilized place in media that brands can take advantage of.
I think it depends on the brand challenge. I would say outdoor, though, is like outdoor is kind of a consistently overlooked tactic or medium. And I think it's because of all the advancements in the media space and a lot of the complex nature of how everything has evolved, that some of it is really valuable, but a lot of it is not worth the squeeze. So outdoor, we continue to be big fans of and think it has a really strong place in any media plan, while coupled with some of the other, more digitally driven or, more wide reaching tactics that we might also build a media plan around.
Right. Allison, your thoughts?
I would agree with that. I also think audio is another really underutilized media component to a plan. It is really successful when used correctly and cheap. Yes.
It's super cheap right now.
And it's also really easy to create authenticity, especially with just like the breadth of podcast hosts out there.
Yeah. Yeah. That breadth. Yeah. There's lots and lots of podcasts out there.
Right.
Your mileage may vary.
I think at that point, like the last point you make though, Doug, is like kind of what we bring to the table, because it's not everything, like not all audio is
sure. No. And I get that. And I realized that question I asked was overly broad, but there are some, there are conversations to be had as it relates to media, because many, many years ago, we were looking at like the New York Times and being like, oh, skyscraper, look at that. Oh my God, it's Flash. It's things like that. Whereas technology continues to progress, yet we still manage to see the sea of sameness in a lot of places.
Yeah.
How do you navigate that with your clients and with brands?
When building media plans, we're always trying to put ourselves in the consumer's shoes.
Sure.
And what as consumers would we care about this communication? We would react with it. Would we engage with it? And I think the answer for a lot of media on the on the shelf right now is usually no. And so there's a way to build like a holistic, well-balanced plan that's why when we say we're focused on results, it makes it a lot more accountable, and that we're not just putting the save as media plan that worked for the last one out there. It's like trying to put ourselves in the target audience's shoes and build a plan that we would engage with if we were them.
Right. No all-in strategy. No all-in on Alta Vista. I got it. There you go. There's an old school one for you. Let's go back to the Indy thing. Sorry, I took a little bit of a detour there. We took a little detour off of the 5. Why is being independent important to you and your team? Allison, I want to start with you.
Oh, wow. I think it is important to me, and I think important to the team, just because of the value that it brings to us. Again, I'd mentioned at the beginning, I kind of like grew up, so to speak. A lot of my experience is from those larger holding companies. And I think what Eric has done is pull together really, really good talent. And he wants to foster that talent and do the best work that we can do for our clients, but also embrace who we are as people as well. And so I think being in an indie environment, there's greater ability to kind of celebrate who you are as a person in addition to the work that you produce.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Eric?
Yeah, I mean, being indie is so important that we're bound by nothing. And so like, I think that applies to the work that we're doing for our clients and holding ourselves to account and making sure that we're putting the best work out there, and we're being really quick, being really fast and quick, and that we're delivering on the service side of it. I think it also applies to our people, and being able to call our own shots and deliver on all the things that people coming up through the industry, whether early or like, in a later stage or more mature stage in their career, care about, like compensation, advancement, learning opportunities, growth opportunities, being able to work on different accounts. Like we're in charge of doing that, instead of answering to a much larger entity where we might be able to, have the desire to do it, but can't for whatever reason.
Right. You skipped ahead to one of my questions, which is fine, which is why talent should put the agency on their list. But that's good. That you're a pro, dude. You just worked it right in.
Yeah.
No mess. See, no waste.
No waste. Exactly. No waste. We do talk about that. Waste is not just an ad spend waste. It's also wasted time and like opportunity, resources, all the things.
I'm not even going to ask that question. I mean, why should talent put your agency? What's another reason that talent should put the agency on your list?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're. It might be obvious to us, but like it's worth articulating that we're on the path to building something great.
Yeah.
So we want people who are ambitious and entrepreneurial and driven to do great work. And so that's like the work side of things. I think, on the more people focused side, we really care about people. That's part like a founding principle of Apollo Partners for me personally, and like the people that have joined, like Allison's, like it's something that we care about. So it shows up in the way of like great benefits and really generous compensation and flexibility and all the things that all of us really care about on the people side. So
yeah. Allison, I'm going to kick it over to you now.
Yeah, I would say building on that, we really enable the people within our team and organization to have like a vested interest in where Apollo is going to be. We had an offsite at the beginning of June, and we had incredible discussions with the team on what do we like that we're doing right now, and where do we want to see ourselves in 3 years, and actively, asking the team to participate in what that plan looks like to get us there.
Yeah. And I think, Doug, we talked about it at the very beginning of this meeting, but like, it's not just, it's like the diversity of experience, where I happen to start at a small independent shop, which I am partial to. And I think that allowed me to learn a lot really quickly. And so we believe in that for our teams, but we've also all spent time at the biggest places and run the biggest media accounts, which is also super valuable. And I think both of those are what allow us to kind of like have both sides of the conversation.
I didn't run the media accounts at Martin. Good God. Those people are, and Media Hub. I was just like, I don't even know how you do this, but okay. Let's talk about the main reason a brand should work with your agency. Again, you've covered a lot of ground on this, and I think that certainly you've discussed pieces of this, but what would you say would be the main reason?
the main reason I think is the breadth and speed of our experience, which is kind of like a repetitive thought, but it means so many different things where we're going to come to them with really creative, innovative ways to put their media investment to work. It's going to make sure that it's accountable and results focused. And that, the service that you get from us, like we hear from our clients a lot, like, unfortunately, like a lot of agencies out there are all saying the same thing. What really matters is how we come through in our service. And when they're actually working with us, like how well we're delivering on what we said we would. And so we think we really deliver on that. Like we're much more focused on the service side of our service industry. And it all comes through in like how we deliver.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think on the results piece, just to build off what Eric said, we are really uniquely positioned, in my opinion, to be able to do brand and performance really well. There are lots of agencies that really focus in one of those places, and we can do both of them because both of them should have accountable and actionable results for the campaigns. And you should be able to see and pinpoint how they're able to influence each other throughout the purchase path of the client as well.
Yeah, we've always just, to the point of like being consumer focused and like putting ourselves in the target shoes, like target audiences don't be like, that's a brand ad versus performance ad. Like they all naturally work together. And so we've never really understood like why the industry like separated them and acted like there's such different things. Like they obviously, certain mediums are better for other educational needs, but like they work hand in hand. And like, the way that we're managing those budgets should also work hand in hand.
Yeah, you touched a nerve there, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Touched a little bit of a nerve there. We finish up with a thought exercise, a little thought experiment. Whether it's an existing client or not, which CMO or marketer would you like to say hello to and why?
We would love to say hello to Dave Raggio, who is leads acquisition marketing for Intuit on the SBSEG side, which is focused on QuickBooks. Dave is someone who's like been a multiple time client, but when we started Apollo, he understood our strengths and like he believed in us early on and gave us small assignments, and we had a principle of over delivering on anything that we're tasked with. And he continued to invest in us and has given us great opportunities. So I think there's a number of people that took on that same role as Dave and believing in Apollo early, but he was one of the most notable and someone we'd like to say hi to, but also say thank you to.
Yeah. Allison.
Yeah, I would have to agree with Eric on Dave. He's been really instrumental and has felt like a true partner on both sides of the coin. So, thank you to him.
Oh, you're going to leave it there. You're not going to, are you balking? Are you not going to add another one?
I mean, I could also shout out our Nature's Bakery clients.
Oh, that's a good one.
Pilar and Vilma.
Yeah.
So they've been amazing partners. They're one of our first CPG clients, which has been a really exciting space to work on. Again, we have a lot of tech and fintech and stuff. So it's been great to have a CPG client in partnership.
And who was that again? What was their name?
Nature's Bakery.
And who is the marketer?
Vilma and Pilar.
Okay.
Yeah. 100%. Double click on that. Absolutely. Like they're the partners that I think any agency like us dreams of, where they're part of Mars and
right.
We were acquired by Kind, and then Kind was acquired by Mars, but have just been like the clients that we all hope for, where they're tough and like hold us accountable, but they're also just like great people. And we've really enjoyed working with them and like hope to have a very long working relationship with them because it's just been a joy.
I like that because this industry is supposed to be enjoyable.
Yeah.
Remember that? Remember?
Yeah. We have fun with it. It is. It's not every day's awesome, but like we do have a lot of fun with it and we enjoy the work we do. And like we ultimately care about the work we're doing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yep. No, it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be fun. Eric and Allison, it's Apollo Partners out of the Bay Area and beyond. Yes. Thanks so much for joining us and best wishes for continued success.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
Aloha from Oregon. Thank you so much for your support of Indie Agency News. And let's meet an indie agency. We take ourselves to the gateway to the Rockies, Boulder, Colorado. Shoni Well, Jonathan Schoenberg, aka Shoney. We're friends here, ECD and partner at TDA Boulder. Yeah, look at this. You got the stellar eyewear going per usual. I kind of like it, babe. I just kind of went into a Dennis Miller thing. That's a reference that you and I get, babe. We're gonna talk ad agencies, babe. So TDA Boulder, take us back. When was the shop founded?
Shop was founded in '89 by my partner Thomas Dooley, who was a child at the time. He was 22, probably 22, and then we joined together in '98 as partners.
Okay, and so you and I are of similar age. So you had graduated college 19. So what were you doing before you jumped in on this?
New York City. I started my career as a secretary at Wells Rich Green, which was a bad agency.
Oh yeah. Oh well,
But it was a lovely time for me, and I was fired, which was necessary for all parties. But from there, I was lucky enough to get my book together pretty quickly, and my first job was at Mad Dogs and Englishmen. Big shout out to everyone at Mad Dogs and Englishmen, which was an incredible experience. Nick Cohen was so good to me. Michael, John Soto, Hunter Hall, Susan Tracy, all still people that I think about when I do work.
Right on. I like that. So you're in Boulder. Every agency has like a list of stuff that they're very good at, but what would you say your agency is best known for?
Probably getting lucky. I think we've been super lucky. I would say our geography served us so well. When I came to Boulder, no client wanted to come here. We had to travel all the time, and Boulder kind of became this relevant place. So because of sort of tech and food and beverage and just general like healthy living, Boulder became relevant. So I'd say through that, we were able to do a lot of really good work for brands that we probably wouldn't have gotten a shot at otherwise. So yeah, that would, hopefully it's the creative that we're known for, but yeah, pretty lucky on geography.
Yeah. Healthy living.
Yeah.
Sorry. Did I just do that? Okay. Sorry. I live in Oregon, so do the math. What would you say are your top 3 core strengths? Again, agencies usually have a laundry list, but it is important to prioritize and acknowledge and recognize the 3 things 100%. that are your strengths. So what would you say they are?
I think we've always obviously prioritized creativity because that what we thought we were supposed to do as an ad agency. But strategically, Jen Coleman being our head of strategy has been unbelievable because it's the most selfless fucking human being I've ever met in a strategy. Shout out to strategists with a lot of hubris. And so Jen not having that sort of, it had to come from her, but almost this amazing way of working with us is completely unique. I would say, it is strategically driven creative. Also, we're super lucky. We've had a media department, and as a small independent agency, to have a media department for the last 15 years has been unbelievable. Just because when we're in a conversation with a client, they're like, "Are you kidding us?" We're like, "No, we have a media department." So super helpful.
Well, I was just going to say, because over those 15 years, a lot has changed. And one could argue, there's going to be various eras, right? So one could argue that a new era started maybe a few years ago. My guess is that having that experience and having that time underneath the agency's belt helps to be able to pivot a little bit quicker.
100. It's also, most agencies won't do it because it's expensive, and they need to know that clients are sticking around. And so having good tenure with clients is how we can do it. So yeah, it's been great. Mother just, made that big commitment to having a media department. A lot of the independent shops that you and I love do not have media departments. We're really lucky in that sense that we have clients that have continued with us in media for 15 years.
Yep. Let's move on to the indie tip. Why is being an indie important to the agency? And again, you've been around since 1989. Why is it important for this agency?
I think the most important part is, you can make short-term decisions on a client's behalf that are mutually beneficial to you and the client long-term. And so if you're beholden to a holding company and you're giving up, 20% every month, you have to make certain financial decisions that are hard. We've probably only done 2 layoffs here in the 2 decades, in the 25 years I've been here. And then from there, I think in terms of client decisions, like we made a decision this morning. We're not going to be in quite as an ideal financial position with a new piece of business as we would have been. Holding company probably would have said, we're not going to do that. And we can do it because next year it'll be fruitful. We just have to get through this year.
Right.
So yeah,
Right.
I'd say that, independence is fucking awesome.
There's the t-shirt.
Yeah.
You're OG, right? So OG Andy in the grand scheme, right? So there are a lot of shops that pop up. There are some that have been around for a long time and everywhere in between. Talk a little bit about your interaction with other indies and what you learn from them, and then what other indies seek from you and the people at TDA Boulder.
There's such open communication. So often we're talking to each other. Oftentimes a piece of business will come up, it'll be at another agency, and you'll call them and be like, should we stay the hell away from this? And they'll tell you to. I think there's a lot of camaraderie. We're not really battling each other. Boulder had so many independent shops not that long ago. Today we have fewer. But we suddenly noticed as a collective that we weren't competing against each other. And so I think there's a lot of open communication, a lot of support and love. I get really nice notes from other agencies and send nice notes on a regular basis about work or a win. I think at this point, maybe not 10 years ago, but at this point, everyone feels like there's enough work to go around.
Right. No, it's very true. Very true.
Yeah.
What should a brand know about working with you and the agency?
I think, and it's probably a turnoff too. We, and this is going to sound a little cliche, so I don't want to say it out loud. We care a lot. And I think we sometimes find clients that don't care as much as we do. And that sucks. And I think, when you're at a big shop, you're kind of okay with it. People are looking to kind of get through the year sometimes. So I would say just, a lot of it is that we really do care a lot. And we hate to lose. And so I think we feel really vested. And I think, not all clients share that. And so, we reflect on that a lot lately. We'll talk about it in new business and kind of ask the question, like, how much do you care about what you're doing? Right.
There's the New York coming out.
I would love to talk. If we're like, we don't care that much. Do you? But yeah, I think, there are people here that care so much that are not me.
Right.
I am still an angry New Yorker, and I still care, and I still hate losing. Like, winning isn't even that important. It's just the thought of losing is terrifying.
Right. Right.
But yeah, that's a big part of it.
I get it.
Some people don't fucking care.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. What have you learned from, like, you've had successes, but we all fall flat on our faces. What have you learned from that?
I would say sadness.
Right.
But I don't know. I think, we're in a unique position because we've worked with a lot of startups. We have started companies ourselves. We have worked with startups. We have seen so much failure and so much success. In the last quarter, we had 2 companies acquired by Mars for large amounts of money, one for $6 billion. I think that we've seen so many successes, but you learn from the failures. So we've made big mistakes, and I wouldn't consider, like, we had a campaign recently that made people very angry, and I can sleep with that one. We've made mistakes, but we've also been privy to a lot of business mistakes on the client side, and that helps. So I think sometimes when we're talking to companies, we can honestly say that based on 3 other experiences with other clients would be a horrible thing to do. We just did it. A client that's very premium wanted to talk about value, and I had dinner with the 2 people that lead their business to be like, I think that's a horrible idea. And they were open to that, because we've seen people do that in the premium category, and then you don't know where to go.
Right. No, and that's a learned trait.
Yeah.
That is a learned trait for sure. Let's go to talent. So Boulder, great place. Colorado's a great place to live. Went to college there. So I get it. Not for everybody, but a lot. I mean, same with Portland, not necessarily for everybody. But why should talent put TDA Boulder on their list of consideration? And you can cut this up like young talent, seasoned
Yeah,
talent.
no, and that's a cut too, right? I mean,
right?
I would almost. We hired a CD this year that's absolutely phenomenal, and she missed producing work on a regular basis and quickly. And she was able to do that right as she rolled in the door. There's not a ton of bureaucracy here. I would say, though, I will still encourage young people I know to go to big shops or small shops based on kind of what they want career-wise. But you want to produce work. And so for young people here, they can talk to other young people and hear that they rolled in, produced work, got recognition, produced more work. I think the jobs you stay in are the jobs that you could leave at any time because you're making good work. So I think we want to make as much good work as possible and do so with as much regularity. And so I think that's the draw. So one of the things that actually does get in the way is our geography. We think everyone wants to live here and have, all this access to recreation. And there are a lot of people that are like, nah, I'm good. I want to be in a metropolitan area. These days, we're in the office once a week. A lot of agencies are doing it differently. We can hire people from different parts of the country. We like people to live here. It's nice to see them on Wednesdays, but I would say that again, we're really committed to making good work. Our clients are committed to good work, and that's the draw. And hopefully we're decent human beings. We're not awful people.
Right. Well, and again, I take a look at a place like Boulder, and yeah, it's not Chicago, it's not LA, it's not New York, Minneapolis. Also interesting winters there. But I'm a big believer in vibe, right? And so the vibe in Boulder is different. The vibe in Boulder and in Colorado is different. I have to think that seeps into how you and the agency nurture talent. So how do you approach nurturing and growing talent?
I would say patience, like profound patience. I think people were patient with me. I referenced where I started my career, and I thought I was fantastic, and I was a horrible creative. I think that I see people hire young people and then say, we're not going to hire juniors anymore. It's too much work. And sometimes it is. Sometimes it doesn't click for a little while. And I think that there's such a big transition these days from the learning centers of advertising, be that a state school or a post-college portfolio school. And I think people have to have some patience, and everyone had patience with us. So I think the assumption now is you spend so much time and money. When I entered the business, I would say 50% of people went to Portfolio Center or Creative Circus. The other came a different way. A lot of us were assistants. I was a secretary. I like to say secretary. That's what I was. Today, 100% of people pretty much come from ad programs, like real schools. And so our assumption is that they can come in and work. Our assumption here is that we're going to need some patience. And you always get pleasantly surprised. There's a mid-level writer here right now, blows me away on a regular basis and did not start great. And I would say it within the room and she'd nod her head. So yeah, I'd say patience. People need more patience. Everyone wants that instant gratification these days, including myself. And I don't know if that's always realistic.
Read my first articles at the Drum and Adweek, and there you go. It happens to all of us at every stage of our career. Hashtag patience. Hashtag CBD Boulder. CBD is plentiful.net. Little thought experiment we like to do. There's marketers out there. There's CMOs out there that, they have tough jobs. Whether they're an existing client or somebody you'd like to work with, maybe, perhaps, who is a CMO or marketer that you want to say hello to?
You and I were talking at the beginning of this session about what you're doing, which I find really interesting. Elevating and bringing together indie agencies, the timing's never been better. I don't think that it would have been a relevant conversation 5 years ago. The three people, and I would include you in this group, that I have love for right now are Pete Carter and Lindsay Slaby, because first of all, they're getting rid of they're working towards the no pitch. We spend so much money on pitches, and these days we're saying no to a lot of pitch situations. We're just not going to do it. if they can make it agency friendly, we'll look at it, because it's just not helpful to either party. And we know that. And they're connecting a lot of independent agencies, and in Lindsay's case, some non-independent agencies with the right clients, which I think you're doing in a different way. And so rather, there are tons of CMOs that we work with that I adore, and tons of CMOs I'd like to work with. But if I was going to take the moment to say thanks, it's really to those two people and what you're doing here. I think that there's a place for it now. And I do think that you have, how many great independents do you think are in the country? You have a better sense of it than I do.
More than 12? No, there's hundreds, there's thousands of them.
Well, it's
just
in terms of independents that are really doing good work.
Yeah,
different
hundreds.
number.
Yeah,
it's like, what I love about what they're doing is they're finding the folks that aren't, are doing something so specific.
No, and I was just going to say that, because everybody tries to look at this as so wide. If there's an agency in Peoria, Illinois, that's doing one thing really well, and they're able to, that matters. I mean, it absolutely matters, because there are more agencies doing that than anything else. And I think that's cool. And I think there's a great deal of empathy about that, because somebody who saw something from Peoria, Illinois, who may be a copywriter in Kansas City, might look at that and be like, oh yeah, I get that.
Let's back at it. I was just on a call with somebody from Mullen. Everyone forgets this. I don't think Mullen was a nautical agency. I don't know if nautical is the right term. Mm-hmm. They were an agency for boats.
Right.
If we go back to when Thomas and I first became partners, we did all recreation. Everything was recreation. It was all snowboarding,
right?
Fly fishing, bikes. There's an agency in, I'm sure in Minnesota right now that just does agriculture and does it incredibly well. And they'll find that agency. Mm-hmm. And I think that's dope. I think that, it was really exhausting when folks like yourself, not you particular, but publications, like when, some of your colleagues at Adweek and Drum would be like, what do you guys, what do you specialize in? And every new business conversation was, what are you guys actually good at? That's luckily gone away. Mm-hmm. So you said that you were a full service agency, it absolutely confused them. But I love the fact that there's so many independents doing different things.
Right.
And sort of that people like yourselves are celebrating that, and not just on size, but on just independence. Dan Wyden, rest in peace. The last time I was with him, he was literally saying that these holding companies are dinosaurs, fuck them. And I love that. Yeah. I just think independent agencies, after a period of time, we really believe that not being under somebody's thumb is this tremendous thing. And I think it's great. Yep. And so I just appreciate those guys and yourself celebrating it.
No, I appreciate that. I'm just hearing from a producer, non-existent producer in my ear. So, Shoney is the clubhouse leader for Mensch of the Year. Okay, we got that. Shoney.
Hey, you should shut the fuck up.
No. Mensch of the Year. That's coming at the end of the year. But no, seriously, man, always good to catch up with you. I will likely be in Colorado again during hockey season. Go Pioneers, University of Denver. Thanks for joining us, man, and we'll see you soon.
Great to hang out. Have a great rest of your day.